I had an absolute blast with this movie, and I really did not expect that. When I first saw the trailers and everything for this movie, I didn't think the trailers were necessarily bad or anything, but with the way Scream 4 ended, I kind of felt like that was like kind of like a cool end to the 4 movie saga that we had at that point. And with this movie coming out and it dropped the whole numbers aspect of it, so it's just called Scream, not Scream 5, just Scream, and it's coming out in January, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's just one of those movies that the studio's going to put out, because January is notoriously known for basically being a month that studios basically put out their movies that they have absolutely no faith in, or movies that they deem to be kind of bad. And I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Let's talk about it. The Scream movies are known for having like really cool intros, you know? And the very first Scream movie that ever came out had a badass intro with Drew Barrymore on the phone and the whole, you know, what's your favorite scary movie? Do you like scary movies? Stuff like that. This movie, this new Scream movie that just came out, I think not only rivals the very first Scream movie as far as the opening goes, I feel like the opening to this movie is actually better than the first Scream movie, and that's saying a lot, because as Scream fans, even if you're just a casual Scream fan, everybody seems to just love the opening of the original Scream movie. But I'm telling you, this one right here, it was absolutely fantastic. And one of the things that makes the opening as good as it is it's brutal. And that's one of the things that made the first Scream movie kind of that same way, is just how brutal that was. And so the movie just basically starts off right away just being like, hey, listen, this is going to be a brutal movie. This movie's rated R, and we're going to show you just why exactly it's rated R. I mean, just the opening of the movie, there is blood all over the place. There's a lot of tension to be had, everything like that. There's some laughs, there's some gags, there's some throwback lines and everything to some of the original movies. The opening of this movie really just set it up for me and everybody else in the theater to just have a great time the rest of the way through. And the cast of this movie is really great. I mean, especially the newcomers, but obviously the legacy characters coming back, like David Arquette, Courtney Cox, Neve Campbell, and everything like that. Those three are also great as well. But the thing is, the trailers of this movie weren't necessarily the best. So going into it, I was like, I didn't really know how exactly to feel about all these new characters, because I've seen some of the actors and some other stuff before. Like, for instance, there's one actor in this movie who was an actress in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie. She played one of the hippies, and I loved her in that movie. And you know what? She's just as good in this movie. She's amazing. And obviously, legacy characters are just as amazing as well. I mean, the thing with Scream movies is it's one thing to kind of just almost have like a whodunit, right? And you're kind of sitting there and guessing. And listen, I've always sucked at that. All the Scream movies that I've ever watched, whenever I watch them for the first time, I've never been able to figure it out. I always feel like I have it figured out, and I'm sitting there like, I bet it's that person, or I bet it's that person, and then I'm always wrong. And the same thing happened with this movie. I mean, the entire time I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, dude, it's got to be them. And I go, wait, no. Okay, now I'm sure it's them. I swear I thought I had it this time. Watching this movie, I was like, dude, I've seen enough Scream movies. I know exactly how it's going to go. That's who it's going to be. And you know what? I was somehow wrong. Looking back on it, I don't know how I was wrong, but I was somehow wrong. And that's one thing that this movie continues, like the other Scream movies, is it really keeps you guessing. At least for me, and most other people I know aren't always the best at guessing that stuff either. So the cast is amazing. I feel like Wes Craven, rest in peace, Wes Craven, even at the end of the movie, they have a whole For Wes thing. I feel like he would be very proud of this movie if he was still alive today to have seen it. The only negative thing I can really say about this movie is obviously all the Scream movies are really self-referential, right? And they're self-aware horror movies, basically. The thing with this movie is it gets a little meta sometimes, to the point where it's almost kind of beating you over the head with just how meta it wants to be. And for me, I feel like it's going to be, you're either going to like that or you're not going to like that. And there's a certain place in this movie where it starts to get kind of meta, like a little maybe over the top. And for me, it's not that it didn't work. It was almost like, oh boy, we get it. We get the self-referential stuff. I mean, we get that you're self-aware. And I was almost like, can we please get past this? Because it was almost to the point where I was like, this is a little bit too much right here. But I think depending on the type of Scream fan you are, or the type of movie fan you are, with just how meta this movie tries to be in that aspect, that might not actually even be a negative for you. You may find that to be a positive. But other than that, I mean, this movie, I don't want to make this review too long, because I really just want to get the word out there that this movie is definitely worth seeing, and especially this opening weekend. I mean, I had people in my theater. There's this one guy where every time there was something funny that happened, or even something that if there was some throwback line or whatever to like an older movie, he would sit there and laugh. And this is the way he laughed. It got me chuckling and the rest of the theater chuckling. I mean, with these Scream movies and basically any horror movie in general, if you guys know this, seeing them in the theaters is a must, and this is another one of those movies that I'm telling you, if you feel safe enough to go out to the theaters, this is definitely worth your time, especially opening weekend. You want to see it in a crowded theater. I don't think you're going to be able to guess who Ghostface is and stuff like that. I feel like the movie's going to have you on your toes. The cast is really great. The legacy characters returning is really great. I feel like the way the movie is directed and everything, as far as just kind of like knowing when to show things and when not to show things, which is something that I absolutely love about the Scream movies, is because since it is self-aware, there's so many times where a character will open a fridge, and you know, most other horror movies out there, like the character is going to close a fridge and there's going to be someone right there. But we all know how Scream works. It's like it gets you thinking that there's going to be someone behind the fridge. You know, the music is ramping up and then nothing. So I've always liked that about Scream. I like just how it basically goes against the genre stereotypes and calls out the whole stereotypes in the horror genre. And this movie did a great job. I'm glad it wasn't just a cash grab. In my opinion, this is actually the second best Scream movie, right behind the first one. And then I would put probably 4 at 3. And then I would put Scream 2 as my number 4 favorite. And then Scream 3, I think, is my least favorite Scream movie. But yeah, I mean, the high praise for me. I really do think this movie is the best Scream movie since the first Scream. Had an absolute blast with it. I'm telling you guys, if you're a Scream fan, even if you're kind of a little iffy on Scream, because I know a lot of people out there that like the first one and they didn't really care about 2 through 4, I think you should see this. I feel like you are going to have a blast with it. If you're a horror fan, you definitely need to see it. I think I've said enough here. You need to see this movie. It's absolutely fantastic. But anyway, if you are watching this review and you have already seen the new Scream movie, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. Did you love it as much as I did? Did you find some of the meta parts to be a little bit over the top? Let me know down below. And I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you back in my next one.